Hello, my name is Joshua Sears, and this is the Real Sports Repo. A little overview of what we're going to be doing here on the show. Every Tuesday we're going to talk about the week that was, injuries, what could happen in the future. And every Friday we're going to be talking about the upcoming games, and we will give you our prediction to each and every game. When the Thursday night games begin, we will talk about those games and give those predictions on our Tuesday show. So joining me now to answer some questions will be my analyst, Mr. Dion Johnson. How are we doing today, Dion?
Good. How are you doing today, Josh?
Doing all right. So first we're going to get right into this. This past week, the Saints killed the Bears 30-13. Talk a little about the 1-1 Bears here first. Gabe Carimi, they lost him for about two to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but 11 sacks in 2 weeks on Jay Cutler with that offensive line. What do you see that the Bears need to fix with Carimi being out in that situation?
Well, with Carimi being out, I would say that the Bears are definitely going to have to fix their offensive line in some way. They've got to figure out a system that's going to work for these guys, and they've got to be able to protect Jay Cutler. If your quarterback is on his back, he's not going to be able to throw touchdowns. He's not going to be able to do anything. He can't even hand the ball off correctly if he's always getting sacked. So that O-line has to step their game up. Everybody on that O-line has to come together. They all have to step up and become one unit and work together as one unit for every down, every game.
Okay, and as far as the Saints, who were victorious, they are 1-1 as well. 64 total points in the last 2 weeks. Nearly beat the Packers. What do you expect from the Saints for the rest of this season?
I expect the Saints to continue to score highly. They always have had a high-powered offense. They are an offense based through the air. 9 times out of 10, you will see the ball ran here and there, but most of the time, you're going to catch them throwing that ball. Drew Brees is always a deep threat. He's got too many weapons. If one's injured, somebody else decides to step up. If Lance Moore isn't playing, then Robert Meacham steps up. It doesn't matter who it is or how they use him. You got Mark Ingram, he's your power back. You got Pierre Thomas, he's your everything back. He's finesse, he's power. He can do just about anything. He can catch it out of the backfield. I expect the Saints to continue to roll. I'm not going to say I expect them to go to Super Bowl, but I do expect them to continue to keep scoring high points because Drew Brees just finds a way to tear up every secondary in the league.
Okay. So another game we had, the Browns defeated the Colts 27-19. We'll get to the Colts in a second.
Mm-hmm.
The 1-1 Browns. Colt McCoy is their quarterback, and he's doing a really good job right now. What do you expect out of Colt McCoy, and is he ready for the next step?
I expect Colt McCoy to do great in the NFL. In the draft class that he came out in, I expected him to be the best one out of it, and so far he has proven me right. Colt McCoy was the most NFL ready out of all those quarterbacks that were taken in that draft. I don't expect the Browns to make the playoffs. Sorry to say that to the Browns fans, but I do not expect you guys to make the playoffs. I expect you to at least go 6-10, maybe even 7-9. But I don't expect the playoffs for you guys. I think there's just a few more pieces to the puzzle that you have to bring together, and once you put those pieces together, the Browns will once again be a team to be reckoned with.
Now the Colts. Kerry Collins, not so good the first 2 starts with the Colts. They're 0-2. They're talking about a move to possibly Curtis Painter out of Purdue. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, who is this guy? Curtis who? I don't even know who Curtis Painter is. I don't know where the guy played college ball. I know nothing about him. The Colts are in trouble. When Peyton Manning isn't on that field, the defense doesn't even play well. Everybody on that team right now will tell you that they're okay. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I'm going to give you the truth. The Colts are in trouble. With no Peyton Manning, there is no playoffs. There are no Super Bowls. There is no nothing. Not to say that the Colts don't have great players, but that team runs through Peyton Manning. It always has and it always will. Ever since he stepped on that field, it's been all about Peyton. And if he's there, that offense runs properly. When he's not there, you see what happens. Kerry Collins is not a bad quarterback, but you cannot put anybody else in Peyton's system. The only people that I have seen succeed in another person's system, sorry to say, it's exactly just Aaron Rodgers. He success Brett Favre, and he played well. Another guy you can think of, Matt Castle. Why? Tom Brady knew the offense in and out. He knew it like the back of his hand. So why take all the first team snaps? Why not just give it to Castle? So what happened? Tom Brady went down. Castle came in. They went 11-5. But you can't expect the Colts to go anywhere if Peyton Manning isn't on that field. Curtis Painter will not do them any better.
So talking about the Packers, we're going to jump to the Packers and the Panthers. Packers only beat the Panthers by 7 points, 30-23. Before we get to Cam Newton and the Panthers, first I want to talk about the Packers. Simple question, can they repeat?
Yes, the Packers can repeat. I do believe that they can possibly go right back to the Super Bowl. They have a lot of firepower. Everybody on their team actually is healthy. And as you can see, that when everybody's healthy, it's a problem for anybody out there in the league, defensively and offensively. Charles Woodson is playing at a very high level. As you see, he picked off Cam Newton twice in this game. And the Packers they're running on all cylinders right now. It's going to be very hard to stop them. That NFC North is going to be a really good division this year.
And the team that they beat by 7 points was the Panthers. Cam Newton, 400 yards in 2 games, over 900 yards in those 2 games total. What do you expect out of the Panthers with this guy at quarterback?
I expect the Panthers to go very far. I expect them to eventually draft some good receivers aside from Steve Smith. And for Cam Newton to continue to succeed. When he came out of college, everybody knocked him, all the naysayers. Everybody says he wasn't good enough. He was a project quarterback. We don't know what's going on. He came into training camp with a short training camp with no contact with anybody. And he walked right in there and took the starting job from Jimmy Clausen. And he put all his naysayers to sleep. Everybody's quiet now. Nobody's saying anything. Everybody's on the Cam train right now. Everybody's running toot. We love Cam. For all those people that didn't like Cam Newton, he's proving you wrong. He will continue to prove you wrong. This is one of the great quarterbacks in the league. I guarantee you that next year you will need to watch out for the Carolina Panthers.
Wow, big words there. So now we're going to talk about the Bucs and the Vikings. The Bucs trailed 17-3 in the first half. Came back and won that thing 24-20. Josh Freeman, LeGarrette Blount on fire this season. Do you expect anything less from them this year?
I don't expect anything less from them. I expect the NFC South to once again be a very strong division. They had 3 10-win teams last year. I expect them to continue that reign. It's a very strong division, and as you remember, the Bucs are the youngest team in the league, and I guarantee you that they will definitely at least make the playoffs. Josh Freeman is a great quarterback. LeGarrette Blount went from punching people in the face to punching touchdowns into the end zone. So with that being said, I believe that they can and will make the playoffs.
And as far as the Vikings go, they lost 2 leads late against the Chargers in Week 1 and then again in Week 2 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With them losing those big leads late and Donovan McNabb having subpar games the last couple of weeks, what do you expect from the Vikings for the rest of the season?
Oh, I don't expect much from the Minnesota Vikings. I love AP. I love that defense. Percy Harvin is great, but I just don't see them going anywhere this year. I actually see them finishing last in the NFC North. I see my sleeper team, the Detroit Lions, coming to give everybody a problem in that division. But as far as the Minnesota Vikings go, I don't expect them to do much. It's nothing against Donovan McNabb. He's a great quarterback, but he's on the downward slope of his career. They're going to need to groom Christian Ponder, get him ready, and get him on the field eventually. If they are not at least above 500 by the break, then they need to go ahead and make the move to Christian Ponder, give him that team, and let him run with it so he can get more familiar with the offense, with the system, and get themselves a few good receivers and keep pushing.
So now we're going to talk about another late comeback here, the Bills and the Raiders. Before we get into the Bills and the amazing story that they put up the last couple of weeks, we're going to talk about the Raiders. In Week 1, Monday Night Football, they came back in the last few minutes to beat the Denver Broncos. And this week, the last few seconds, they lost to the Bills. Who are these people? Can I get an identity on them, please?
The Raiders have no identity. I've said this all along. When Al Davis is no longer the owner of that team, the Raiders will move on and they will begin to look upward and they will actually shoot to the stars. The Raiders have a very good team. It's just that their direction is not correct. I don't like what Al Davis is doing. I never have. I'm not really one to be biased against any team or anybody, but it's just hard for them to succeed with Al Davis at the helm. They haven't made the playoffs since 2000 when they went to the Super Bowl. They looked good last year by winning their division and going undefeated in their division, but I just don't foresee them making any big moves anytime soon. They have no identity. They don't really know who they are. There is time for them to figure that out, but the time is now while it's early in the season. And you don't want to get into the back half of the season and not know who you are.
And now we're going to talk about the team that came back with 14 seconds left and beat them, the Buffalo Bills. 2-0. Are they actually circling the wagons here? Are they for real?
Let me say this once and once only. The Buffalo Bills are for real. You have to be very, very careful with the Buffalo Bills. Marcel Darius, Sean Merriman, Jarius Byrd, all these guys on defense are stepping their game up. They're playing as hard as they possibly can. The Buffalo Bills will make the playoffs, and they will give some teams a problem. I see the Buffalo Bills going very far. Ryan Fitzpatrick is playing at a high level. Stevie Johnson is doing his thing. You've got C.J. Spiller as your kick returner, who's dynamic in every way. Fred Jackson's running the ball very well. I really don't see a stop to their reign for any reason.
So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the Jets and the Jags. The Jets demolished the Jags 32-3. The Jags today making the call for Blaine Gabbert. What do you expect out of him?
I don't expect much out of Blaine Gabbert. I don't expect much out of the Jaguars this year. Love Maurice Jones-Drew, great running back. Hopefully Mercedes Lewis can get healthy and begin to help the team out. I'm not really sure, honestly, what to expect from Blaine Gabbert, if I do expect anything from him. He's a rookie quarterback. He's got a lot to learn. Maybe they should have just made this move in the beginning instead of going to Luke McCown. No offense to Luke McCown, but you're a career backup, baby. That's where you are. That's where you're going to be. Blaine Gabbert, you are the starter. That means you must take this team and turn it into a winner. They are winners. You have winners on your team. You have a pretty good staff there, and your defense is looking pretty well. You just got to get your O-line in perspective to make sure you're standing upright at all times. And I just don't see much out of the Jags this year. I see them at the bottom of the AFC South.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about the Jets. They made the addition of Plexico Burress this year, got rid of a couple of receivers. First question is, what do you expect? Well, what did you like and what do you expect out of Plexico Burress? Go ahead and answer that, and then I'll give you
I like Plexico Burress. I like the fact that they gave him a chance and they brought him in. I look at Plexico Burress just as I looked at Mike Vick. You put these guys in jail for a little bit of time, they still come out playing at just a higher level as they did before they went in. Mike Vick was a great story. Plexico Burress will be a great story. As long as he can stay healthy and stay on the field, he will make big plays for them. He is a very large receiver. He is very hard to go ahead and tackle. It's very hard to guard him, period. I'm pretty sure that he gives Cromartie and Revis all they can handle in practice. I do believe that the Jets are going to go very far this year.
And you said that the Jets will go very far this year. My next question is actually, what needs to be done for them to pass the AFC Championship and make it to the Super Bowl?
What needs to be done for them to pass the AFC Championship is Mark Sanchez needs to step up. Mark Sanchez is the focal point of that offense. He is the man that is behind the wheel. He is driving that car. So he must take that car and take it from a Lexus and turn it into a Ferrari. He must get in that car and he must go to town. He must drive that thing like no tomorrow. He's got to have lead foot. He's got to have his foot always on the gas. He's got to have all the drive in the world. He has to give that team the lift to get over that hump. 2 AFC championships in a row, rookie year and your second year, your sophomore year is great, but we don't need AFC championships. We need Super Bowl wins. That's what Jets fans are saying. When they say the home of the Jets and they say Jets, Jets, that's what they're saying. They want wins. They want a Super Bowl ring. They want it back in the house. Joe Namath believes in them. We should believe in them too.
So now we're going to talk about the Seahawks and the Steelers. Steelers, an interesting story. We'll get to them in a minute. But the Seahawks are 0-2. Are there any signs of hopes in Seattle at all?
I don't see any signs of hope in Seattle at all because they have no quarterback. Nothing against Tavares Jackson, but another guy I believe who is just a career backup. He's not going to be able to start and give that team the push, the drive, the will, and the lift to actually be able to get them over that hump. Marshawn Lynch is a great running back. I like what Pete Carroll has done there, picking up his buddy, in USC receiver Mike Williams. And I love Marshawn Lynch.